Hi, Gina. Nice to
Hi,
see you.
Sam. It's great to see you too.
Yeah, so I'll start with the first question. Can you talk a bit about the work you do of, for, and with Los Angeles?
Yes, I am the program manager for the Trans Lounge at the Los Angeles LGBT Center. I have been at the center since 2011. I started in a part-time capacity in our marketing and communications department. Moved over to our cultural arts department in 2000 and I think 14, and have been there ever since. I started out in cultural arts, running assisting in a program called Learning Curve, which is similar to what Trans Lounge does in that it's an education. It was an education program. I took Trans Lounge and made it a step further. Trans Lounge became an education and empowerment program. So the idea with Trans Lounge is always to uplift. It's classes, it's workshops, it's groups, it's social events, all to bring the community together. With Trans Lounge, what we wanted to do was present something where we have a class in, comedy or yoga or journaling. We have hundreds of different classes, and so it's bringing community together under the auspice of something not just our transness, but it's also about just connecting as human beings, and connecting as creative, thriving human beings that are just as longing for connection and experiences as anyone else. And then you take on top of that, I have not just Trans Lounge, but I'm also one of the organizers for Trans Pride LA. And so in that regard, I'm constantly trying to bring people together. And that's, sometimes people could say, well, you're kind of an event planner. And I am to an extent, but there's something much grander, I think, that goes along with that. And it's bringing people together in whatever way that I can. Because I always like to tell, a little bit of a story that's sort of connected with our groups. And we always go through ground rules at the beginning of the groups. And one of the ground rules that I always talk a lot about is leaning into the discomfort and being able to lean into that discomfort. And because it's things that are hard that are usually the most worthwhile. So we want to present a safe and comforting sort of space where people can come. Obviously now we're in a world of Zoom and online, so the safety and comfort features takes on a different meaning, but the idea is always to just to empower people and to give folks the opportunity to grow as a person, and also as part of, I like to call it, our Trans Lounge family or our Trans Pride family. When people say, what does Trans Pride mean to you? And I said, it's a giant family reunion, year after year. And so both of those events, and I think my job in general is bringing people together, bringing community together in fun and exciting and unique sort of ways.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gina. That was very poetic and encouraging. The second question is, how do you build community in Los Angeles?
Sam, you've been to some of our classes and workshops. So, what I try to do is build a very safe space, but a space that is also special. I want everyone that comes to feel like everything was done specifically just for them. Bringing people into those spaces, having them feel safe, opens them up to, like I mentioned before, kind of leaning into discomfort and opening themselves up to making new friends. And there you go. Now we're building community. Any way that we can build that community, I'll take it, whether it's one person at a time or whether it's, at Trans Pride where we had last year almost 2,000 people. It's building community is, I think it's different for everybody. I think we all have our special ways. I also feel like, again, getting back to sort of what I was saying about activism, for a lot of us, just getting out of bed in the morning and being visible and being, out in the world, well, that's activism. That's making a statement. And maybe you change a mind at work or on the bus or, somewhere you have a conversation with somebody that has not encountered a trans individual before. And they leave that conversation thinking, wow, what a lovely person. My mind has changed. I didn't know anyone before. Now I have a different perspective. That's activism. That's changing minds. That's building community, because now hopefully you're building an ally. Part of the thing that's so hard and frustrating for me is that I'm such a touchy-feely people person. And one of my great joys was putting on events at the Village. Trans Lounge was famous for, we would do movie screenings with pizza parties, buy 25 boxes of pizza for folks, or brunch, or painting parties with mimosas and, brunchy sort of stuff. All of these things, I think all lends itself towards community building and bringing people together. We all have that, just like we're all activists. I think we all also have that capability to build community, and especially now that we are sort of hunkered down and sheltered in place, reaching out to community, reaching out to your friends, coming to Zooms, coming to, Trans Lounge classes, or doing other groups, things like that. That's helping to build community too. Just because we're at home does not mean the community has to end at, these four walls. There's plenty for us to do, plenty of ways to build community, even in the midst of a pandemic.
Thank you, Gina. Very well said. And I feel like we have such a robust and dynamic and interconnected community with Trans Lounge. So that's just so fantastic. I'll do the third question, which is, what has your community taught you?
Wow, what has my community taught me? Well, they've taught me so much. They've taught me kindness and compassion. They have taught me that this world of ours is not, and I knew this going in, but it just reinforces that this world of ours is not one size fits all. And that our uniqueness is what makes us so special. And the community helped me to open my eyes a little bit, expand my horizons, give me a new perspective. And also it gave me a compassion for where folks are coming from. I was very privileged, and I had a very safe and calm kind of upbringing. And so I sometimes feel guilty because the people that I come across on, through, Trans Lounge, Trans Pride, have not necessarily had it as good as I did. And they have experienced homelessness or abuse and things that I did not go through. And so I had to rectify some feelings of my own, because I still do. I feel guilty when when I'm doing a group or when I'm hearing a story that is, so troubling and so heart-wrenching because, you know, a young person or an older person, whatever, a human being is discarded by their family or friends because of who they are. Really? That's your criteria? You know, so I learned, you know, how to meet people where they are. And my community taught me a lot more compassion. I've always been a compassionate person, but my community taught me to bring it out. It taught me how to kind of wear it on my sleeve and use it as kind of one of my guiding principles.
Wow, that was really beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Gina. Our last question is, what does being an Angeleno mean to you?
That's an interesting one, because as a born and raised Northern California person, it gave me such amazing friendships, you know, with people that I adore, and that people that helped open doors for me to be who I am today. You know, not only just the employee that I am today, or the program manager that I am today, or the organizer that I am today, but just the overall person, because the folks that I met gave me courage and gave me wisdom, gave me strength when I needed that. And all of that came from, you know, from actually just a random summer 3-day trip to Los Angeles in 2007. That got the ball rolling and turned me into an Angeleno.
Wow, fantastic. What a unique story. And it ties into community so much too, and community building.
Absolutely. It was, you know, because before I transitioned and I didn't have community. I was, you know, as many of us kind of end up, I was very isolated. And I was just apathetic. You know, I didn't care about anything really. And so once I developed these friendships, and that grew into a community of folks. And, you know, it's like a pebble on a clear lake, you know, that initial drop, and then those ripples that just go out. Every person, I always feel like, you know, there's one person or there's one event that's like that big kerplunk in the middle, but then there's these people and experiences that go along with that radiate out and, you know, touch you for long periods of time, and hopefully touch other people as well.
Wow, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Gina, for your time. We appreciate it, and thank you for doing this with us.
Sam, it's my absolute pleasure. Anything for you, darling.